Jai Gurudev, Dr. Renu.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing well.
How is the new job?
Yeah, new job is a little challenging because it is not only a bigger hospital, it's a bigger team that I have to head. And a lot of new learning for me as well. So I'm finding, so it is going to take, it's exciting, certainly exciting. Actually, this is live on YouTube. Huh?
How to see live on YouTube? I was trying to struggle.
No, you just have to go to my channel, Brahmara Madhuri, YouTube, and type Brahmara Madhuri, and then you'll get the live channel. And you just click on that.
Okay, go to Brahmara.
Go to YouTube and search in that. Search.
Okay.
In the search bar.
How is Nana?
Nana is fine. He will I think he will come this Friday. He will come on the session.
Is he in India?
Yeah, he's in India.
Then I go to your channel and see all sessions.
No, you go to the live part. There is one button called live. Click on live and then you'll be able to see this. Yeah. So shall we begin? I will take this. I will help you out later in case you're not able to. Outside the session, I'll let you know.
Okay. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we'll get started.
Yes.
Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tatvamasyadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshibhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryankaravavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Om Shri Krishna Paramatmane Namaha Atha Navamodhyayaha Raja Vidya Raja Guhya Yogaha Shri Bhagavan Uvacha idam tu te guhyatamam pravakshāmyanasūyave jnānam vijñāna sahitam yajñātvā mokṣase shubhāt rajavidya rajaguhyam pavitramidamuttamam pratyakshaavagamam dharmyam susukham kartumavyayam ashraddadhanav purusha dharmasyasya parantapa aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsara vartmani maya tatamidam sarvam jagadavyaktamurtina matsthani sarvabhutani na chaham teshvavasthitaha na cha matsthani bhutani pashya me yogamaishwaram bhutabhranna cha bhutasthaha mamatma bhutabhavanaha yatha kashasthito nityam vayus sarvatra gomahan tatha sarvani bhutani matsthani tyupadharaya sarvabhutani kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punastani kalpadau visrujamyaham prakritim swamavashtabhya visrujami punah punaha bhutagramamimam kritsnam avasham prakritirvashat na cha mam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasinavadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam hetunanena kaunteya jagadviparivartate avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam param bhavamajanantaha mama bhutamaheshwaram moghasha mogha karmanaha mogha jnana vichetasaha rakshasi masurim chaiva prakritim mohinim shritaha. Om Tat Sat. Jai Gurudev.
Hari Om. I will start with verse 8, right? So yesterday we had seen two types of Upadana Karana, Vivarta and Parinami. Brahman undergoes no change and at the same time makes all changes possible. It is like how the rope is Upadana Karana for the snake and consciousness is the Vivarta Upadana Karana for your dream. The dreamer is Chaitanya. The dream world is Chaitanya and the dream experience is Chaitanya. But without the Chaitanya, there cannot be any creation and therefore Chaitanya is Vivarta Upadana Karana and your own memory becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Similarly, Brahman alone is the cause for the whole creation as Vivarta Upadana Karana and Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, through the Upadi, it becomes efficient cause nimitta karana. Through the upadhi, it becomes material cause, upadana karana. Bhagavan points out in the next verse that he is the efficient cause through this maya. Prakritim
Bela, sorry,
swamavash.
Jai Gurudev.
Yeah.
Bela, can you just read that para one more time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any paragraph before that also you want? There are two types of upadana karana. From here I'm reading.
Yeah.
If you wish, I can browse through the 7th verse also, or it is because we repeated twice, so I thought that.
What is the 7th verse?
7th verse, Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya Prakrutim Yanti Mamika Kalpakshay Punastani
Yeah.
Kalpadav Visur. We
That
have
we've done.
repeated
Yeah,
twice.
we've done that once, no, twice. So eighth
Twice.
is fine.
Yeah. There are two types of upadana karana. One is vivarta upadana karana and the other is parinami upadana karana. When the thing that is the material cause undergoes a change to become the effect, then it is called parinami upadana karana. And if it does not undergo any change to become the effect, it is called vivarta upadana karana. Now, from the standpoint of the world, Brahman is the vivarta upadana karana because it is the cause that does not undergo any change. But whatever changes that are necessary are undergone only by Maya. Therefore, Maya is the parinami upadana karana for this world. Thus, if you say Brahman is the material cause, then it is Vivarta Upadana Karana. And if you say Maya is the material cause, it is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, Brahman undergoes no change and at the same time makes all changes possible. It is like how the rope is the vivarta upadana karana for the snake and consciousness is the vivarta upadana karana for your dream. The dreamer is Chaitanya. The dream world is Chaitanya and the dream experience is Chaitanya. But without the Chaitanya, there cannot be any creation. And therefore, Chaitanya is Vivarta Upadana Karana. And your own memory becomes the Parinami Upadana Karana. Similarly, Brahman alone is the cause for the whole creation as Vivarta Upadana Karana. And Maya is the Parinami Upadana Karana. Thus, through the Upadhi, it becomes efficient cause. Nimitta Karana, through the Upadhi, it becomes material cause, Upadana Karana. Shall I move ahead? Anyone wants to?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Bela.
Yeah. Bhagavan points out in the next verse that he is the efficient cause through this Maya. Prakritim swamavashtabhya visrujami punaha punaha Bhutagramamimam krutsnam avasham prakrutervashat. Swam prakrutim, my own prakriti. Avashtabhya, controlling. Punaha punaha, again and again. Imam krutsnam bhutagramam. This entire group of beings, avasham, necessarily, prakritehe vashat, by force of prakriti, visrujami, I create. Swam prakrutim avashtabhya, punaha punaha, imam krutsnam bhutagramam, avasham, prakrutehe vashat, visrujami. Keeping my own prakriti under control, again and again, I create this entire group of beings necessarily by the force of prakriti. I repeat, keeping my own prakriti under control, again and again, I create this entire group of beings necessarily by the force of prakriti. Visrajami punaha punaha. Again and again I create. After the dissolution, at the end of each kalpa, I again create myself. Does that mean I undergo a change? No. Prakritim swam avashtabhya. Keeping my own prakriti, my own maya upadhi in my hands, I create. This is the difference between the Jiva and Ishvara. Ishvara keeps Maya under his control. The Jiva comes under the spell of Maya or Avidya until he is released from it. Therefore, the Lord says, keeping this Maya in my hands, I create again and again. Swam Prakrutim Avashtabhya Visrajami punaha punaha. What does he create? Bhutagramam imam kritsnam. This entire group of bhutas, meaning the whole Jagat. What is seen by you in its entirety, I create. Aham visrajami. One may ask, why do you do that? All my problems are only because I find myself in this creation. So why did you create all this? Why did God create the world? Avasham means it is something that has to take place. That is, without any will on the part of Ishvara, this takes place. This question, why did God create the world, has been asked millions of times. Any answer is only imaginary. The stock answer is that it is all Bhagwan's Leela. It is all a sport for the Lord. But why does Bhagwan need a sport, Leela? Is he restless or bored or lonely? If he is, then how is he the Lord? Then he is as much a sansari as me, the Jiva. The Lord answers this question by saying that he did not really create anything at all. Only when he has created does he have to answer this question. In the next line, he is going to say that he did not create anything. Assuming that there is a creation, we can only say that it came about without any will on his part. How then did it come? Prakrite vashat. Because of the force of Prakriti alone, the creation takes place. The nature of Prakriti is to create. Not only the Lord, but you can also say the same thing. Why do you think about a given thing at a particular time? It is by the force of the same Prakriti. If you say, I think, you have a problem. When you say, Prakriti thinks, you have no problem. What is applicable right now here for you is also applicable to Bhagavan, because Atma is common and the Srishti is typical. A given thought is born in your head. That is, after all, a Srishti, even though you do not will to create a given thought. There is, of course, deliberate thinking, but what we are talking about here is a thought that just occurs in your head without your willing. Why did this particular thought occur? Why is it created? It takes place naturally. Prakriteha vashat. Your will is not involved. Then how can you assume responsibility for it? It is your thought, no doubt, but you have nothing to do with it because you have no will regarding it. This is true for a jnani or an agnani. Both have nothing to do with the thought that occurs without any willing. So let it occur, and though there may be some cause, we are not concerned with that. It is prakruteha vashat. An agnani has another type of thought which is born of his own will. When he wills a given thought, he will of course claim authorship for it because he has ahankara. He thinks he is creating the thought. The jnani will also have this type of thought, but he looks upon this so-called will as a part of Prakriti. In his vision, even while thinking, he does not think. Seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, walking, etc. I perform no action at all. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sparshan, Jigram, Ashnan, Gachan, Naiva Kinchit Karomi. So that was the footnote from chapter 5, verse 8. This is the difference between the Ajnani and Jnani. Both have the experience of finding themselves with an unsolicited thought, Prakriteha Vashat. The Ajnani thinks that he created the thought because he thinks he is a Karta. Then the confusion is further compounded. He assumes responsibility for the very thought that occurs without his will and feels guilty about it. Then, through therapy, etc., he tries to develop some kind of a distance, but he still has ahankara. Therefore, the problem is going to recur in one form or another. But there is also deliberate thinking on his part for which he will certainly claim authorship because he has the notion, I am an author. A jnani, however, has eliminated the notion that he is the author of any action by seeing that Atma is a karta. If Atma is a karta, then because of the force of Prakriti alone, thoughts happen. There is no willing or wishing or any kind of action. All these just take place, and it is as though I do something and as though I do not do anything. It is as though things take place of their own accord, prakruteha vashat. Very beautiful paragraph. I will repeat. If my voice is breaking, please let me know. I just missed the shloka from chapter 8, 5 and 5th chapter, 8 and 9. नैव किञ्चित् करोमीति युक्तो मन्येत तत्त्ववित् पश्यन् शृण्वन् स्पृशन् जिघ्रन् अश्नन् गच्छन् स्वपश्वसन् प्रलपन् विसृजन् गृह्णन् उन्मिषन् निमिषन्नपि इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेषु वर्तन्त इति धारयन्. So there is a difference between the Ajnani and the Jnani. Both experience the same thing, but one claims the doership and the other thinks that it is Prakruteha Vashat. If you want me to repeat the paragraph, I think I'll repeat this paragraph. This is the difference between the Ajnani and Jnani. Both have the experience of finding themselves with an unsolicited thought, Prakruteha Vashat. The Ajnani thinks that he created the thought because he thinks he is a Karta. Then the confusion is further compounded. He assumes responsibility for the very thought that occurs without his will and feels guilty about it. Then, through therapy, etc., he tries to develop some kind of a distance, but he still has ahankara. Therefore, the problem is going to recur in one form or another. But there is also deliberate thinking on his part, for which he will certainly claim authorship, because he has the notion, I am an author. A Jnani, however, has eliminated the notion that he is the author of any action by seeing that Atma is Akarta. If Atma is Akarta, then because of the force of Prakriti alone, thoughts happen. There is no willing or wishing or any kind of action. All these just take place, and it is as though I do something and as though I do not do anything. It is as though things take place of their own accord, Prakruteha Vasha. Krishna says the same thing. This creation just takes place. This is the answer to the question, why the creation? The karmas of all the jivas form the Prakriti. When Pralaya comes to an end, those karmas have to find their expression, and the manifest creation begins at the beginning of the Kalpadav. Bhagavan brings the creation into being, keeping the Prakriti under his control. Prakritim Swam Avashtabhya, which means that he does not come under the spell of Prakriti, but this I is Sat Chit Ananda Atma, which does not will anything to happen. Then who wills? In the presence of Bhagavan, with reference to Prakriti, there is a will. It is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad, So Kamyata Bahushyam Prajaye Yati. I am sorry, I could not
So
write.
kamayata bahushyam prajayeti.
So Kamayata Bahusham prajayeti.
Very right. Very beautiful.
I will write down the whole shloka and I will repeat. He desired, may I become many. Now, one can ask, why should he desire? Then we have to say that the desiring is also from the point of view of the Prakriti alone. Prakruteha vashat. From the standpoint of Prakriti, Atma seemingly desires. That is why Bhagavan says, keeping Prakriti under my control, Prakritim swam avashtabhya, without his willing, purely due to Prakriti, this creation takes place. So beautiful. And it is a creation of great variety because the jivas have to undergo many different kinds of experiences according to the karmas they have earned. Because of that, there are varieties of bodies with their own unique sukshma sharira, all created according to the karma of jivas. I think I should repeat, there is too much breaking of voice. And it is a creation of great variety because the jivas have to undergo many different kinds of experiences according to the karmas they have earned. Because of that, there are varieties of bodies with their own unique Shukshma Sharira, all created according to the karma of jivas. Now, there arises another question here. When, according to their punya papa karmas, they are given bodies and situations, etc., how is Bhagwan doing anything? When a king gives money, protection, punishment, etc., according to the services and attitudes of his citizens, he seems to be the one meting out but punishment and reward. The same philosophy extends to Bhagwan. If you do the right thing, you are rewarded. If you do not do the right thing, you are punished. Even a dog is trained like that. If a person is well behaved, he is the beneficiary, and if not, he is adversely affected. By doing what is proper, one is born in a good family, has a good body, and everything goes well for him. Another person is born in a situation full of disadvantages. Each person is affected by his own dharma and adharma, which are subject to his choice. Whenever there is a choice, there is definitely kartritva, doership. Bhagwan has no such problem because everything that is happening is due to Prakriti. He does not really participate in anything. When he says, I do not create anything at all, the word I refers to Sat Chit Ananda Atma, and that is the only Atma there is. In the presence of this Atma, Prakriti takes care of everything. This is very important paragraph. Please pay attention. I'm reading again. When a king
Can you
gives...
please read the from one above that also, please?
Yeah,
And it is a creation. Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And it is a creation of great variety because the jivas have to undergo many different kinds of experiences according to the karmas they have earned. Because of that, there are varieties of bodies with their own unique Sukshma Sharira, all created according to the karma of jivas. Now, there arises another question here. When according to their punya, papa karmas, they are given bodies and situations, etc. How is Bhagwan doing anything? When a king gives money, protection, punishment, etc., according to the services and attitudes of his citizens, he seems to be the one meting out punishment and reward. The same philosophy extends to Bhagwan. If you do the right thing, you are rewarded. If you do not do the right thing, you are punished. Even a dog is trained like that. If a person is well behaved, he is the beneficiary, and if not, he is adversely affected. By doing what is proper, one is born in a good family, has a good body, and everything goes well for him. Another person is born in a situation full of disadvantages. Each person is affected by his own dharma and adharma, which are subject to his choice. Whenever there is a choice, there is definitely kartritva, doership. Bhagwan has no such problem because everything that is happening is due to Prakriti. He does not really participate in anything. When he says, I do not create anything at all, the word I refers to Sat Chit Ananda Atma, and that is the only Atma there is. In the presence of this Atma, Prakriti takes care of everything. There is one more point to be understood here, and that is without this presence of Sat Chit Ananda Atma, the Prakriti cannot do anything. If we say so, then we will be saying what Sankhyas propound, that is, Prakriti does everything and Atma remains unconnected. But that is not acceptable. Prakriti and Paramatma are not two parallel realities. Prakriti is not independent of Paramatma. It is superimposed upon Paramatma, entirely depending upon Paramatma for its existence. Prakriti itself cannot create. Atma also cannot create by itself. They somehow come together to bring about this creation. But they are not two different entities enjoying the same degree of reality. One is Satya, the other is Mithya. So there continues to be only one. If this is not understood, we will end up with duality. That is why Lord Krishna can say, I created everything, I did not create anything. If it is not understood, it sounds like a contradiction. So it is like our dream world. It is the same consciousness which creates all the people situation in the dream. And the same consciousness, once we wakes up, it merges into the one, that same one reality. In this creation, there is a great deal of pain. Bhagwan seems to be responsible for all this. He created man with a wonderful body, senses, and mind, and at the same time, he created some mosquitoes, etc., to torment him. The human being has to fight against unknown sources of pain throughout his life. The one who created this pain must necessarily be affected by all this. Bhagavan says, no, whatever the creation is, it is all due to the force of Prakriti, Prakruteha Vashat, and I am not involved in it. These karmas do not affect me at all. I repeat, in this creation, there is a great deal of pain. Bhagavan seems to be responsible for all this. He created man with a wonderful body, senses, and mind, and at the same time, he created some mosquitoes, etc., to torment him. The human being has to fight against unknown sources of pain throughout his life. The one who created this pain must necessarily be affected by all this. Bhagavan says, no, whatever the creation is, it is all due to the force of Prakriti. Prakruteha Vashat, and I am not involved in it. These karmas do not affect me at all. Anyone wants to share before we go to the next verse?
See, we may have the
Radhika.
question, how are these karmas? Karma, the sum total of all the karmas put together is the Prakriti. And from that Prakriti, when that Prakriti wills, the whole creation arises. And this whole creation is full of variety, diversity, so that each of us can experience our karma. When we question back, what is this karma? How did the first karma start? Actually, when that question itself is born of ignorance. Because in Tattva Bodh, we learned that all this is born of avidya. Maya itself, or Prakriti itself, is an illusion, is born of avidya. So
question was why the creation has started. So just to play, he said no.
Correct, that is Leela. But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
it is Atma is not doing anything.
Yeah.
It is only his power of Maya, which is the Prakriti. From that, as though all this is happening, it is like the dream world. It is not true, actually. It is all mithya. But this requires that satya for it to happen. Atma is the cause, is the vivarta upadana karana. It is the cause which does not change. The parinami upadana karana is Maya, and that is how the whole world is created. And to the question, how come, where did the first karma start of jivas? Where did the sanchita and the prarabdha, where did it start? So all that has its genesis in avidya, and avidya itself has no birth. It only has a date of death, but it does not have a date of birth. So it is very cyclical, this whole thing. So we might end up, it's like the question, why did this creation happen? It was asked 1,000,000 times by so many people. But there is no definite answer to that. You can only say it is Bhagavan's Leela, right? So similarly, the fact that all of this is born of avidya, and avidya itself has no birth, and it is pointless trying to find out when avidya was born. Rather than putting our attention on that, our attention should be diverted towards getting rid of avidya, so that that knowledge dawns. I just wanted to share this because I think we went through all of this once when in one of Nana's session. I think some of us had, Mrinal, I had the questions of when did the first karma start? How did the first karma of a being start? So I just thought I'll mention that again.
Yeah, so beautiful. It is just, we just have to feel amazed, right? When I think of the dinosaur age till this evolution. And even imagining aliens, those who do not have the sthula sharira or may have, we do not know. So it is so amazing. We just have to wonder. So Krishna says here, Nacha mam tani karmani nibadnanti dhananjaya udasinavadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, tani karmani cha, and these karmas, mam, me, udasinavat asinam, who is seated as though indifferent, teshu karmasu asaktam, who is unconnected with reference to these karmas, na nibadnanti, do not bind me. Dhananjaya, tani karmani cha, mam udasinavata asinam, teshu karmasu asaktam, na nibadnanti. O Arjuna, these karmas do not bind me, who is seated as though indifferent, who is unconnected with reference to these karmas. I repeat, O Arjuna, these karmas do not bind me, who is seated as though indifferent, who is unconnected with reference to these karmas. The Lord says, with all its varieties, one superior, another inferior, one healthy, another unhealthy. This creation does not affect me because I am unconnected. Asangoham. You can join Krishna here saying the same thing. Asangoham. The reason that Parameshwara is not connected to all these karmas, Ashaktaha Teshu Karmasu, is that he is resting as one who is absolutely indifferent. Udasinavada asinaha. This is an adjective Bhagavan uses to the word mam, me, meaning Parameshwara, to make it clear why these karmas do not mind. Udasina means the one who is absolutely indifferent. Someone who is neither a ragi, one who likes, nor a dveshi, one who dislikes, is called udasina. He is neither a liker nor a disliker. Asina means the one who is seated. Here, Parmeshwara is the one who is seated in the very Prakriti, in the very Maya Upadhi, exactly like Atma is seated in your Buddhi, being totally uninvolved in anything that goes on. The Sat Chit Ananda Atma, which is seated in your Buddhi, is like the one who is indifferent, Udasina, because it does not choose. It does not choose good karma or bad karma, a good thought or a bad thought. Atma does not choose, it just illumines. Therefore, it is Udasinavada Asinaha. I repeat, it is very beautiful paragraph. Please pay attention. Udasina means the one who is absolutely indifferent. Someone who is neither a ragi, one who likes, nor a dveshi, one who dislikes, is called Udasina. He is neither a liker nor a disliker. Asina means the one who is seated. Here, Parmeshwara is the one who is seated in the very Prakriti, in the very Maya Upadhi, exactly like Atma is seated in your Buddhi, being totally uninvolved in anything that goes on. The Sat Chit Ananda Atma, which is seated in your Buddhi, is like one who is indifferent, Udasina, because it does not choose. It does not choose good karma or bad karma, a good thought or a bad thought. Atma does not choose, it just illumines. Therefore, it is Udasinavada Asina. Asakta means unconnected, without attachment. As Atma is seated in your Buddhi here, the one who is seated as the one, as the very basis of Maya, Parameshwara, also remains unconnected, devoid of attachment to the result, devoid of identification with doership. He has no connection to the karma phala, nor does he think, I am the doer. This Atma remains absolutely indifferent because it is not subject to any change. I repeat, asakta means unconnected, without attachment. As Atma is seated in your Buddhi here, the one who is seated as the very basis of Maya, Parameshwara, also remains unconnected, devoid of attachment to the result, devoid of identification with doership. He has no connection to the karma phala, nor does he think, I am the doer. This Atma remains absolutely indifferent because it is not subject to any change. Whenever you see an object, there is a change in your antakarana. If it is something you like, there is a particular modification that takes place. And if it is an irritant, an entirely different type of change takes place. Sorry. I repeat, whenever you see an object, there is a change in your antakarana. If it is something you like, there is a particular modification that takes place, and if it is an irritant, an entirely different type of change takes place. Now, if there is an object which causes no change at all in your antakarana, other than the vritti by which you simply perceive it, the response in the antakarana is neutral, udasina. Like a perfectly neutral mind, Atma does not undergo any change and is therefore udasinavada asina. With reference to those karmas, teshu karmasu, the threefold karmas of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya, Bhagavan says, I am not really involved. He has no sense of being a doer. It is possible for any other person also to have no sense of being a doer by knowing the same Atma. Parmeshwara's Atma is Sat Chit Ananda, and the Jiva's Atma is also Sat Chit Ananda. With this knowledge, there is no false identification of oneself as a doer. This is the takeaway line, the last three lines. I repeat the last three lines. Like a perfectly neutral mind, Atma does not undergo any change and is therefore udasinavada asina. With reference to those karmas, teshu karmasu, the threefold karmas of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya, Bhagavan says, I am not really involved. He has no sense of being a doer. It is possible for any other person also to have no sense of being a doer by knowing the same Atma. Parmeshwara's Atma is Sat Chit Ananda, and the Jiva's Atma is also Sat Chit Ananda. With this knowledge, there is no false identification of oneself as a doer. And again, for the Atma, there is no connection to the result of an action. Therefore, there is no sense of enjoyership for the Atma. The cause for having no connection to samsara is simply the absence of these two things, doership, kartritva, and enjoyership, bhoktritva. If these are there, the whole samsara is with you. Just the thought, I am the karta and I am the bhokta is enough to bring one into the hold of samsara. Freedom from samsara is a fact which is to be discovered. And in this discovery, you see that there is no kartritva or bhoktritva, doership or enjoyership in Atma. These sections of the Gita, where some paradoxes are presented to resolve certain other paradoxes, are very important. Bhagavan says here, I create this entire group of beings. Bhuta Gramam Imam Kritsnam Visrajami. This is an expression of Krishna assuming the role of Ishvara. He says very clearly, I create, Visrajami. Then he says that those karmas of creation sustenance and destruction do not bind him. Tani mam na nibadnanti. He himself gives the reason as to why they do not bind him. He says, I am seated within the upadhi called Maya, like one who is absolutely neutral. This means he denies all responsibility. He now says that he is not responsible for these three karmas of creation, sustenance, and dissolution, which are continuously taking place in the world and which are imputed to Ishvara, and therefore they do not bind him. So beautiful. That is why, in spite of so many gopis and wives, he's brahmachari. And that Agatsya Rishi, who had eaten so much, but still he had not eaten anything. So beautiful. There seems to be a contradiction here. Generally, you cannot say I create and then also say I am not responsible for this action. Even if you are forced to perform an action under duress, you still act. You only shift the responsibility to another person. But there is no person other than Ishvara who can induce him to perform an action and to whom he can pass the responsibility. If this is so, he has to assume responsibility for this threefold karma of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya. But he completely washes his hands off it. He says, I create, sustain, and dissolve this creation, but I am not affected by the results of these actions. In the next verse, Bhagwan resolves this seeming contradiction. If you want me to repeat any paragraph, please do let me know. Otherwise, we will just repeat the shloka. I think I'll repeat the last paragraph. There seems to be a contradiction here. Generally, you cannot say, I create, and then also say, I am not responsible for this action. Even if you are forced to perform an action under duress, you still act. You only shift the responsibility to another person. But there is no person other than Ishvara who can induce him to perform an action and to whom he can pass the responsibility. If this is so, he has to assume responsibility for this threefold karma of Srishti, Sthiti, and Laya. But he completely washes his hands off it. He says, I create, sustain, and dissolve this creation, but I am not affected by the results of these actions. In the next verse, Bhagwan resolves this seeming contradiction. If you want me to read any paragraph, do let me know. I will just read the 7th. We started from 8th, but I'll read. Sarva Bhutani Kaunteya prakritim yanti mamikam kalpakshaye punasthani kalpadau visrujamyaham. All beings, O Arjuna, go to my Prakriti at the dissolution of the cycle of creation. Again, at the beginning of the cycle, I create them. Prakritim swamavashtabhya visrujami punah punah bhutagramamimam krutsnam avasham prakriter varshat. Keeping my own Prakriti under control, again and again, I create this entire group of beings necessarily by the force of Prakriti. Nacha mamtani karmani nibadhnanti dhananjaya udasinavadasinam asaktam teshu karmasu. O Arjuna, these karmas do not bind me, who is seated as though indifferent, who is unconnected with reference to these karmas. With that, we will just close our eyes and just try to be within ourselves, assuming that Kshira Sagar, Lord Vishnu, is silently taking care of the whole samsara by lying down on his shayya. And we will share our takeaways. Hari Om. Kindly share your takeaways. My takeaway is not to claim any doership or enjoyership. Whatever is happening. Adi Bhautik, Adi Daivik, Adi Adhyatmik, those upadhis, they will be happening only. We can just pray to Maya to release the clutches of its hold on all of us, so that our antakarana can become raga dvesha rahita. Kindly share your takeaways.
Jai Gurudev. I just wanted to ask, like, if everything is happening according to the Prakriti, so where is that free will which we are given uh, to improve upon ourselves, or like to evolve further. And what is that the consciousness that that Atma, is it not guiding us to like what is what is right and what is wrong?
I think Atma is like totally neutral, like a clay. And then the free will is like that buddhi, no? When the buddhi gets connected with the, it gets totally into, in alignment with the Maya, it gives all the wrong notions and wrong judgments or wrong everything, so that we keep on reveling in the Maya only. And when that buddhi becomes paripakva, parishuddha buddhi, then that real light of Atma shines into that parishuddha buddhi. Atma doesn't play any role, though in the presence of Atma only Maya can show her dance. So here the important word, and it everywhere we have experienced that samarpan bhav. By surrendering to Maya, requesting her to take away your all show off, then it becomes the moment the surrender comes, no, suddenly so much shift happens within us, and that it helps to vivek buddhi to dawn, so that we can see the light of the Atma everywhere. So there is free will, but free will, we are not really equipped with this mind, intellect, memory, ego to really use the free will to uplift us on our own. So the Guru Tattva comes into the picture, the surrender comes into the picture, to whomsoever you surrender. But the moment that surrender bhav comes in us, it becomes very easy to go beyond the small mind and small intellect to experience the dazzling Atma, or just to have that shift, total shifting within us. Jai Gurudev. Brahmaraji, please help us.
I think you summarized it very well. Free will actually is it is that aspect of us. If you remember the introduction to Bhagavad Gita, the very first few pages, that it is only the humans that have the capacity to evolve. All other animals, they live instinctively. The capacity to mature and evolve lies only with human beings. And that the intention to even evolve, the intention to even mature or change the way of thinking is the free will. And that has an element of viveka. It has an element of mumukshutva. In fact, if you realize, if you go back and look at your own lives, there must have been a trigger for you to have taken this path. Maybe some event, some extreme sadness, something that must have happened. Not that happens for everyone. Some people very naturally take to this path, but usually it is some difficulty. When do we turn towards Bhagavan? When do we turn towards God for help, for praying? I mean, take a student, for example. Just before the exam, he suddenly becomes very devout. So that element of that free will is he wants to pray to God. That is a free will there. That is not happening out of Prakriti. isn't it? So they are actually a combination. They go together. There is the Prakriti that is taking charge of everything, but there is also the free will with which you steer your life's direction. It is up to us whether we want to switch on the Zoom, get onto this meeting every day, or you want to do anything else. What is it that is making you do this? It is not Prakriti there. It is that element of free will, that determination, that dridata.
But did we didn't, we read just now, like every thought is given by the Prakriti. That also we read. So that was so confusing for me.
Right. I know it does seem to, but if you look at it that way, it is we have laid the blueprint of our own thinking system with every action that we do. So that way, there is some inbuilt Prakriti, that change that is happening. You can take it even that way, but
Suppose a person is he's doing all the tamasic activities. So his Prakriti, his thoughts would be of that kind only. Then how will that transition will happen? Will he remain in that tamasic always? How will that Prakriti will help to change his thoughts? Or that I was just thinking, like, if a person like we are having the sattvic thoughts, we think in that way, so we are into that evolution. But the tamasic person, they will only have those type of thoughts. How will the transition of thoughts take place? Because what they are doing, they are making their own blueprint. Then how will they evolve further? Will they remain in that state only?
May I come in on this? May I come in on this?
Please come
Yeah.
along.
What I wanted to state here was that a lot of time we play around with nature. Just for giving an example, like we build multi-story towers in the water, in the sea. Now that water gets displaced, so you will find that a cyclone comes somewhere else. Earlier, we used to dig our way through and make a tunnel. Today, we are using dynamite to blast our way through mountains. Isn't it? So Mother Earth, we are literally blasting Mother Earth. So somewhere else, there will be an earthquake. So we are playing around with Prakriti. And what we call, there is a Adi Daivik and Adi Bhautik, as we call it. The Adi Bhautik actions that are there, man-created actions, are leading to what we call so-called Adi Daivik actions, like cyclones happening, etc., earthquakes happening. So we are also playing around with Prakriti. And then when that cyclone happens and when we get into a trauma, then it is this knowledge which brings us out from this. So if it's a tamasic person or a rajasic person with a wrong thought process, eventually it is going to be the trauma that you undergo because of your whatever actions you have done, then that knowledge will bring you out of it only. Otherwise, you will keep on blaming Prakriti, cyclone hua, mar gaye, all those kind of things. So many destructions took place. But who was responsible for that cyclone to happen?
Can
Yeah.
I say something?
Yeah.
Prakriti is created by the karmas of each being. So it is a collective karma. So people may get on time what they need. Gurudev always say, think, be happy that you are born in which place and where and in which group. So it is not an individual karma to improve also. So it is again the sangha also. So he may be in a good company or bad company, and on that he will act. So this is also a Prakriti's Leela only for that a single individual being. I think so. Please forgive me if I'm wrong.
So it's the realization of self at some point of time in the life that one's actions or desires, or they are shifted towards the positivity things.
Yeah, I think it happens. It is quite complex. Maybe it is not a very simple answer. It is not straightforward because it is an interplay of karma. That is why they say kahana karmano gatihi. I can just give you my example. My father Nana has been asking us to read the Bhagavad Gita, specifically the Gita home study, from so many years. I think more than 10, 15 years. But it did not have any, I did not have any inclination towards it. But somewhere down the line, the shift happened. It is not like I was in that state like I was 10, 15 years ago, when no interest to the Bhagavad Gita. Somewhere that shift happened, right? And that free will, maybe that was the free will that I had come about. I wanted to bring up Nana's his wisdom and the experience he has going through the Gita home study so many times to benefit not just me, to benefit like-minded people. So that free will is what I think has created all of this. So I think that I know I'm not able to explain correctly, very specifically, but there is the element of the free will that has a role to play. So a tamasic person will not continue to be tamasic. The Duryodhana also, there is a possibility of him evolving. How did Kalidasa evolve? How did Valmiki evolve? So I think it is an interplay of several factors. But like again, yeah, that is what I thought I should share about the free will. We went through this several times. Even I had these questions. But that is the difference between humans and animals. Animals are only Prakriti driven. Human beings have the capacity to exercise their free will, to do, not to do. That kartum shakyam, akartum shakyam, anyathava kartum shakyam. These three abilities are with human beings only. When given a situation, whether to do it, not to do it, or do it differently. So that is the play of the free will. It is because of the capacity of this buddhi, this intellect. Because every other animal down the line has only manas, it does not have a buddhi. This capacity to discriminate gives us the ability to have exercise free will.
One more addition to our discussion is Prakriti is Triguna-avalambini, no? So all three gunas are continuously changing and they are affecting all the jivas everywhere. So according to the Trigunas, the thoughts are also hovering everywhere. And mostly Sattvic people will latch on with the Sattvic thoughts more. But definitely, even the negative persons who are more of tamasic nature, in the continuous cycle of trigunas, one and after another dominating, somewhere the sattvic thoughts also come to their minds also. If by sangha or by some other means, if it coincides, everything get aligned, then many of the times we have seen like how Valmiki, even in our art of living, we can see so many people, we get so surprised how come such a negative person or tamasic person was uplifted up to this level. So which thought you get hooked on to, and so many other things also support that at that moment, that can really push you up to highest evolution also. So many permutation, and sometimes very positive sattvic people, they get like Ravana, or many of the you can see so-called intellectual people, they are very highly qualified, they are contributing so much in the world, but they never think of liberation in any ways. That kind of people also you will see around us. So I think many factors are there. Definitely there is free will, but at what time, how you hook on to this thought and go in that direction in fully is all a little bit lot of surrender, lot of other aspects also, which I agree with.
It may be many lifetimes also to improve ourselves. Gurudev says no, at least when you are here, there are chances.
Going back to the Bhagavad Gita verses that we learned today, the fact that Atma is Dvandvatita was so beautifully brought out, in the sense that irrespective of whether anything which is likable, I mean, for all of us who are Ajnanis still, any interaction with the world outside, it brings in either a raga inside or a dvesha. Anything that any object, for instance, you see a cup of ice cream, there is some raga that comes into your mind. Although there are some people, I know some of my friends who do not like sweets at all. For them, the same cup of ice cream produces a little dvesha inside of them. Whereas Atma is impartial, that udaseena. He is indifferent to everything that happens. It is like in Atma Bodh we learned that Rajavat Sada. It's like the sun that rises up. Sun is only shining. Whether good deeds happen, bad deeds happen, he is just indifferent. He's impartial to all that is happening. That's a beautiful aspect of that Dvandva Tita that is brought about. And it also gives us a clue as to how to come out of this hold of raga dveshas. Anything that we perceive, if we just pay a little attention to what is it triggering inside, is it raga, is it dvesha, or am I equanimous with it? Am I indifferent to it? That was a very beautiful thing. I thought I should that was quite profound.
One sentence was there, I am in buddhi also. So buddhi will function according to the buddhi's function. So it may happen, it will positively do something, or it may reject also something. So improvising is also again not on buddhi, I think so. But viveka is there, then you can improve. But that क्या कहेंगे उसको, वो इंस्टिंक्ट आना भी कि मुझे किस पे वर्क करना है, that is also from free will or what?
Yeah.
It's a big catch.
It's a wonder.
Wonder. Yeah.
Regarding free will, and that is of course free will and destiny. Destiny, if you think it is Prakriti here, like what Gurudev very simply puts it up, he says your height is your destiny. Your weight is your free will. So whether you want to grow east to west becomes your free will. See, we have a choice at every situation, right? To do or not to do. Living a choiceless life is living according to Prakriti, if we may say that. I know it is a little different from what we were discussing, but that is how a jnani is, no? He does not take doership to anything. He does not say, I'm using my free will. A sadhak can say, I'm using my free will to pursue moksha, to pursue this. But a jnani who's already reached there, who is already recognized, he does not have that kartritva bhavana at all. So from the standpoint of the jnani, I don't think there is anything called free will or destiny or prakriti. Same as Atma. Atma is, he says, Bhagavan says, I do not create anything. It is only through the Maya Upadhi that the Maya has that, the desire, the will is in Prakriti, and that is where creation happens. But I do not create anything. So this free will aspect, I think, is only with respect to an ajnani, a sadhak. Anyway, we can clarify this. Nana is going to come on this Friday. So I request all of us who have questions and any doubts to clarify, to please write them down. And ideally, it would be good if we can give it, put it up and either in the group or email it to him well before, so that we make the best use of the time that he gives us, right? So
The second sentence was in the paragraph was Prakriti with its will is creating everything. So will is there, it's a Prakriti's. And Gurudev says, no, जो होना है वो होता ही रहेगा. Means,
yeah,
I am not quoting Gurudev, actually. I want to say, somewhere it is said, no, what Krishna also says, whatever you do, but it will be working with my will. The result will be different, not according to you.
That is why this Manana is important, no? Manana is to, Shravana is what we're doing. Manana is important to clarify these doubts. And that when these doubts get clarified, then that once there is clarity, then nididhyasana can happen very effortlessly.
Jai Gurudev. Also, Krishna says, you only a nimitta here, nimitta matram bhava. And also, it tells Arjuna, you are thinking that you are killing them, they're already been killed. This, in the transaction analysis, this is happening. Things happen before itself, the consciousness it takes place. So, and also, Gurudev also mentioned in Ashtavakra, this, he didn't directly say there's no free will. He says universe propels you to do certain things, certain time, according to your karma. You have to become a doctor. It will make you work hard, like that.
Right. See, it is only the ahankari who says, I am doing it. In fact, I think in the previous verses we read that it is an ajnani who has this thing that says, he says, I am willing this thought. Whereas when you contrast that with a jnani, he does everything but without the doership. So we've already crossed our time today. So maybe we'll skip the chapter 6 today. We'll take it up tomorrow. We had good discussion. think we'll redo this verse number 8 or 9, I think, of chapter 9 tomorrow again. And we have a few more days. Today is Tuesday. So by Thursday, if we can have our question bank ready, that will be wonderful. Jai Gurudev. Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Jai Gurudev.